5x5 in the squat is brutal. They're the perfect blend between volume and intensity. What's even more brutal is doing 5x5 5 times a week, the Road to Anywhere squat program, which has been run by people like Tsuchiki Yamamoto, Clarence Kennedy, and Aaron Murphy. In my opinion, what is wrong with the way they have done it and not sustainable over the long run is the fact that they never rotate variations. It's always the back squat. It's a back squat only 5 times a week, and often trainings are at a minimum of RPE 8. If you have seen the video where Clarence Kennedy goes over his version of the program, you'll see that often he goes to RPE 9 or 10 more than once a week, which for a natural lifter is simply not sustainable. Therefore, I've made changes to it, which over the last 20 weeks have allowed me to go from 1 rep with 200 kg to 5x5 with 200 kilograms without developing any groin pain, hip pain, knee pain, or back pain. And in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how I've gone about it. Each cycle that I run are 9 weeks long, apart from the first one where I didn't have a deload before, obviously. So each block starts with the deload. The deload, I use 70% of what I'm going to be using as the standard load for the following block. And I do paused reps, so usually I would use around 80% of the standard load or my usual load in a deload. But because I'm 10% weaker in a pause squat, it means that I'm going down to 70%, and that way it allows me to spare my back and my knees, and especially my Achilles tendons, a little bit more as they get really tired from all the bouncing out of the squat. Now after the deload, I have 2 weeks where I go into the standard load. The standard load is going to be 80% of what I want to accomplish for that block. For the last block that I just ended, the end goal was 5x5 with 200 kilos in the back squat. So my standard load on the back squat on the easy days was 5x5 with 160 kilos. So extremely easy. Always like 15 reps in the tank, 20 reps maybe even. I can probably do 20 plus reps with 160 kilos at this point. So not difficult at all, but a lot of focus on speed and just moving with maximum velocity. Then my SSB squat day, which is on Sundays, are 150 kg, and my front squat day is 140 kg. Now these are not based on obviously some goal that I have, because my only end goal is in the back squat, but I know how strong they are compared to my back squat, just like a little bit from experience. So placing them at the numbers I do means that they are around the same difficulty as the back squat, which is what I want. The standard load days should never be difficult. They should always move smooth. And you might think that, well, if I'm not doing anything difficult, how the hell am I getting better? It's not that it's not challenging your body. It's still 160 kg on the bar, and you're doing 5 sets 5 times a week. That's a total of 25 sets of squat every single week, a total of 125 reps. So obviously you're going to get better at squatting no matter what. After the deload week and the 2 intro weeks where I get used to the new load and make it move smoothly, I move into 6 weeks where I slowly begin to add some harder days in between. For the back squat, there'll be 4 days where I begin to add more load in the terms of straight sets. So if my last goal is to have the 5x5 with 200, I'll go 1.5 week back and place 5x5 with 190 there. Then I will go back another 1.5 week, place the 5x5 with 180 kilos, and another 1.5 week and place the 5x5 with 170 kilos. This gives me a long time in between to recover, and some of you might say, isn't that too much? In a usual program where you don't squat 5 times a week, it might be, but when you're squatting this much, there's no problem with having 1.5 week in between the difficult days. Apart from that, in the main variation, I'm likely also going to have 2 days where I do some kind of pyramid workout where I go up in weight to a top set and back down, and a day where I do ascending weights up to a top set. I usually place that 1 week before the last day of the program where I need to smash my main goal and end up with a weight that are similar to what I'm going to be touching on the last day. Because the last one was a 5x5 with 200 kilograms, I went up and did one set of 5 with 200 as the last one. But if I'm having to do just one heavy set, then I'm obviously not going to go up to that weight and do the reps the week before. But I'm choosing then a weight that is maybe like 95% in the last set, or basically what the weight was when I was doing just my top set as the last set 1.5 weeks before, which might have been maybe like 190 kilos for one set, where I just did that as the first set and then back down to my regular loads of 150 kilos, for example. And then on the day, just one day before, what I do instead is that I start with 150, 160, 170, 180, and 190. So I do that 190 kilo set as the last one to just make sure everything is ready for the like 5 with 200 in 1 week. I treat front squats as the secondary day or secondary lift, so I push them harder overall twice a week, where I do one day where I do a heavier top set and then the same backup sets, and one day where I do just 5 heavier sets than usual. And that works really fine for me personally. For the SSB squat day, which is my tertiary day, I just keep the standard load throughout. I don't have any need to push that, as I already have over those 6 weeks. I have, if I'm not mistaken, 9 days where I go over the standard load. My last day is an overhead squat day where I'm using a variation that really challenges something else, my shoulder mobility, which means that it will never be hard. And that's because I think it's just good to not challenge your legs every single time. And I think it would just be a little bit much if I did something like front squat or SSB squat on that day as well. My legs would end up being too fried, and I would probably get injured if I had to squat 150 kilos plus 5 times a week, rather than having this easy day where I often don't end up higher than 60 to 70 kg or never end up above 70 kg because I'm not really that good at overhead squats. I simply cannot stress how important I think it is that you are using different variations. Like I'm using the back squat, the front squat, the SSB squat, and the overhead squat. The back squat is the only one I do twice a week because it's my main movement. So I need to get really efficient at that, and I do so by doing it more than the others. It is extremely important that the rest of the movements of the variations are self-limiting. What is meant by that is that you cannot lift as much for whatever reason. And in this case, it's because the load are shifted more into the quad for these. You're staying more upright. With the front squat, with the bar in the front, you can't bend over as much and use your hips, so it becomes less taxing, especially for your glutes and for your lower back. And the same for the SSB squat. I'm about 5 to 10% weaker, and for the front squat, it's about 15%. You cannot go and do low bar on the other day and do some banded squats or some chain squats where the band are going to help you on the way up and use the Lightning method, etc., or use a suit, because it's simply going to be too much stress. There is a reason that what I'm doing is working well. It's because when you're doing different variations, you're placing the stress on different parts of the body. When you're doing the same thing constantly, and especially 5 times a week, you are quickly going to see a degrade in performance. And if you don't have an idea about this topic and want to know more about it, I really, really advise that you go and check out some of the videos that Matt Wenning have about it. And I also think Alpha Destiny mentioned something in his videos. A big part of me having so much success with the program over these last 20 weeks is also being in a big surplus. I think nutrition and sleep and recovery in general plays an even bigger role than usual when you're squatting 5 times a week. Even if you're not going close to failure most of the times, like for me, where only 9 out of 25 trainings are being pushed a little bit harder, and even then, most of them are not close to failure at all. Just the fact that you're squatting and using so many different muscles at once means that your body are going to be tired out and you're using a lot of energy. So make sure that you're getting in a lot of quality food, a lot of whole foods like meat, like eggs, milk, and a lot of vegetables. Even though I'm eating up towards 4,500 calories a day, I make sure that I get my macronutrients as well as micronutrients. A lot of people I see online, when they have to eat a ton of food and bulk up, they neglect micronutrients too much, I feel like, where they just go and eat things like white bread or bread with some ham or something on, and they rarely have any fruit or vegetables on the side. I know it's going to be difficult when you're eating so much food and to get in food that is low in calories and have a have a big volume, but it's well worth it, even though many days are going to be a struggle to get down certain foods like spinach and things like that. But if you want to perform at your best, that struggle is worth going through. One of the things I've done is drink more shakes. For example, every day I have a shake with honey and milk with about 500 calories in it, and I think that has been monumental in terms of putting on weight. The fact that I'm eating in a surplus means that my body has more energy just to recover, and I don't know how I would have performed in this program without putting on weight. I put on 5 kg, went from 95 to 100 kilograms, and I'll definitely like to think that there's a bigger chance of getting injured if you're not in a caloric surplus or eating enough calories in a program like this, because your body is going to need a lot of calories to always repair your lower body extremities when you're squatting so often. It's similar to what you are going to be seeing if you go fully on original diet for the Super Squat program, where it's constantly drinking milk, having eggs and things like that to make sure you are fueling your body to recover the best you can. Now, sleep should always be on top, but again, with this program, it's probably even more important that you try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night and maybe get in a nap throughout the day. And that's what I've been trying to be doing. And for me, these things have worked well. Generally, before the big days, try to keep stress low. Obviously, don't go out and have bad sleep and things like that. Treat your main goal as the most important thing you're going to do. You have built up to it for 9 weeks, so you want to smash it. It probably goes without saying that if you want to run this program, you need to love squatting. Why would you otherwise want to squat 5 times a week? If you don't love squatting, this program is not for you. But I can say, for me, as someone who loves squatting, this has been revolutionary. It's this thing in the gym that I've decided to do that has sparked the most joy in me over the last 2 years of anything that I've done in the gym. And it's probably also why I've seen the progress that I have. I'm never going into a session not wanting to squat. I'm always excited for it. And I also contributed this program to a lot of the other progress I'm seeing at the gym, because the fact that I'm so excited every single day to go in and want to perform better in the squat means that I'm taking my sleep, I'm taking my nutrition and everything more serious than I ever have. I've begun going to saunas 3 to 4 times a week, which I didn't do before. So I'm doing everything I can to make sure my squats are moving well. And when I'm going in well recovered every single day, it obviously also means that everything else around it in the gym that I'm going to do in the trainings are gonna be feeling good. And it's why I've probably seen so much good progress in the bench press as well, which was stagnant for a long time. So this is how I run the program. You can see there are a lot of differences to how the enhanced people does it, where they just squat 5x5 5 times a week in the back squat and go to a really high RPE But as natural lifters, we can't tolerate doing that thing. A lot of us are gonna get injured if we do the same movements all the time and go balls to the wall constantly. We need to change things up. And if you want to follow this exact program, go and write down the things I say in this video and make it for yourself. You can go and copy it with your numbers to the point 100%. And that way, I'll guarantee that you're gonna see the most progress in the squat that you have ever seen. That is gonna be all for this video, and I'll see you all for the next one. Peace out.